Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe where we help and heal one day at a time. We're going to talk about why did they push us away? And then as soon as we're about to leave, they start trying. They will often, at the end of a relationship, try harder than they've ever tried. It's kind of mind blowing throughout all these weeks, years, months. They haven't tried. They've taken everything for granted. We've tried to talk through things. As soon as we've had enough, that's when they start trying. They start the love bombing again, promising to go to counseling, to try harder. They give all these solutions. So they will either love bomb, false futures, fake futures, promise you things that they're just not going to uphold, or they'll do it for a little while. At the end of a relationship, they're realizing what they lost. They do see value in you, but it's not a love. But they see the value for their ego or their reputation. It usually even doesn't have all that much to do with who you are as a person. It has to do with the services you provide, whether it's sexual, housework, finances. But they'll start trying because they don't want to lose everything. And a lot of it is they just don't want to lose face. They don't want to have to go to court. They don't want to have to be the weekend parent. They don't want to be embarrassed or have to take accountability for what they did. So they don't want to tell people why they broke up. And they'll start trying harder. And it's kind of sad that all that time that they know what it takes to save a relationship because they've just offered it to you. They just said counseling. They just said time together. Maybe every week we promise a date night. If you guys live together and get caught up with the kids and work, that you try to figure out time for yourself. They know everything that would save a relationship. And they can go sometimes years until we just can't take it anymore. And as soon as we're ready to leave, they realize what it's going to do to their reputation, what it's going to do to their time. Maybe now they have to do their own laundry. And they do like care about us as like you care about your car. You get your oil changed just because you need to. It's kind of like a routine thing, routine maintenance, just like the love bombing is routine maintenance, just to keep it going. It's kind of on a schedule. As soon as we're about to leave, that's when they try. I've been through that countless times with the same two people. It's amazing how many times you almost break up or do break up, and then they come back to hoover you back, or they give you the silent treatment enough for you to re-hoover yourself, the reverse hoover. They know their power. So sometimes they might have to go after you if they feel comfortable that they will regain you. They will come after you. If they're uncomfortable, unsure of how the hoover will go, they will avoid anything that'll give them that narcissistic injury. So if they think you might say no, they'll wait for you. And that also gives them power, because usually when you love someone, you miss them, you cry about them, you're trying to work through it. And our minds, they know who we are. They know we're going to think, should I have done this? Or what could I do better? And they know eventually we'll break. Like their confidence level. Sometimes it's false because some of you have been really strong. You have gone no contact, but a lot of times they know that no matter how long they wait, we will come back to them. And other times they might get anxious because their fuel supply is low. They don't have anybody else at that moment. So they'll come back to us. It's just a balance on how their supply is, and how much they like the other supply. Just like it's an object, like how much do you want like a bicycle to get to work? It gets you by. So it depends on what the supply is. Is it a bicycle? Is he or she a bicycle to them, or is it like a Lamborghini? So they'll go after the supply that gives them what they need. And each one's different. That's the hard part. Each narcissist is different on what's important to them. Some just want the money. Some just want the sex. Some just want whatever. So as soon as they lose whatever is important to them, and a lot of times the most important thing to them is not you. It's the image, because they are trying so hard to create this image for the world to see. whether you were the trophy husband, trophy wife, they might feel they need that to get adoration or envious feelings from other people. So that might be why they go after you, to bring you back or not want to lose you. It's not necessarily about you. You know, if you think about it, pretty much anybody can do housework. Pretty much, you know, sex is great. You know, different with different people, but they can obsess over people. They can obsess over whether it was sex out of this world, and they just can't find that anywhere else, where the connection is just real, or their needs are met, or it's uninhibited, or freaky enough for them. A lot of them have porn addictions, and it's because of kind of like that escape. You know, they don't take the time to, we're gonna get real here. They don't really, they do. They will have sex with you, but a lot of them masturbate like crazy. A lot of them just care about the orgasm because that's what they feel. So when you're intimate with them, some are selfish, some will reciprocate, not necessarily to please you, but to please themselves. Like, oh, I just gave this person an orgasm, or oh, this person's like feeling this for me. And it's like a high that they get. So sometimes they will be very attentive. Other times they'll be very selfish. But they don't want to lose anything that's important to them. And it's not based on love, though. So if you were injured or really sick, they might stick around because they like the house. They might stick around because they don't want people looking down on them for leaving you. But are they going to go above and beyond for you? Are they going to care to your needs, or are they going to get irritated that they have to do that? Um, but during the breakup, they will see what they're losing. They're losing their identity because they put effort into their identity, to their story, to their world. And as soon as they realize that it's about to go, they will fight for it. But they've taken it for granted all this time, all the hurtful things that they've said, all the neglect that they've done. They don't look back at that. It doesn't even cross their mind, like what went wrong, like how we sit there and think, like, should I have said this, or could I have done that? Should I have been more attentive? Could I have made better meals, or could I have offered back rubs here and there without him asking or her asking? What did we do wrong? You know, and it's something to be cautious of, because when they do promise to fix things, the date nights, those will happen for a while till they decide, you know, this is time consuming, not really what I want to do. Or if the date night is something you want to do, if you're like, let's go roller skating, they're like, roller skating, they won't do it for you. You know, they'll go to the movies that you guys both like. They'll do this. They'll maybe go to a concert, but ask them to go to the wrong concert, they won't do it. Even if it's your favorite band, you know, it's all about them. Every now and then they might compromise just because they can only push their luck so much, and they know that, but they will push it to the limits, and then they will try to manipulate to where they get their way more often. So in the beginning, they're still testing the waters, where their boundaries are. They're still training us. So they don't demean us as much. They don't take us for granted as much because they don't know what's safe yet. They don't know the breaking point. So they will push it to the limits in the, you know, as they learn what the limits are. And then once those limits are reached, they'll start to train us to lower our expectations, so they get their way more often. And when it gets to the breaking point, that's where, like, oh, I pushed the limits too much. I need to save it right now. But they're gonna play the game for a while they retest the waters, try to figure out maybe some things to argue about, to put us back into our place, to knock us back down. It's never a healthy relationship. There will never be true communication. If they do promise us, it's not a commitment. Just like, you know, a lot of these marriages or long-term relationships, there's a commitment there on how you guys are going to handle your relationship, even if it's unspoken. You know, somebody asks you to marry you, usually there are open relationships, but usually you don't have to ask Well, you're gonna cheat on me if we get married? Usually it's just kind of unspoken. And you kind of do say it with your vows too, forsaking all others. Um, but they take away our safe spot. They disassemble the relationship. They take it for granted and they don't want to lose, but they also don't want to take the time to care for that relationship. I am kind of like, I told you I wouldn't be hypocritical. I'm still kind of talking, not dating, but talking to my ex. And, you know, I accepted that I'm kind of an object. Okay. We do have great conversation because they are conversationalists sometimes, very intelligent. So I enjoy the conversations, but I still want to say, okay, you're going to treat me like an object. Fine. I'm an object. Don't treat me like a Barbie doll that just you put in the toy chest and forget about it. Treat me like a plant. That's an object. Treat me like a plant. At least you got to water it, take care of it a little bit, make sure it's got a little bit of sunshine here and there. And that's kind of like a hard truth to have to mentally, in order to remain friends, kind of go, okay, I really can't have expectations. We had a phone call today that I think I asked 3 questions. None of the answers. Like I don't get answers. So if you're gonna stay friends, just realize that you can't ask direct questions. So if you're gonna stay in a full-fledged, loving marriage, long-term relationship, that's a little different than a friendship. And even there, like to maintain the happiness without all the arguments and things like that. It's like you got to back down to where you really can't ask questions, you know, um, just silly little questions you can't ask. So I'm a little unsettled. It's like, why did I even bother talking about those 3 questions? And then you start to think, okay, so I won't ask questions. I won't ask questions. How the heck does a relationship grow like that? So we're not working towards anything. But how does a relationship grow? If you, you know, if you can't express your feelings, if they can't relate to be tender when you need it, something to be tender. If you cry, you get yelled at. If you don't show enough emotions, then they get upset too. A lot of times it is over our emotions. If we cry, it ticks them off. A lot of times it's because they understand that they hurt us. Or we're trying to express, the interaction hurt us. So they get a little filled with shame. They don't know how to handle it. They don't want to feel that. Because that's kind of like taking accountability, like, whoa, I should have said this, or I'm sorry, let me give you a hug. So when you cry, they hate that. They hate it because it feels to them that they caused it. Sometimes when I get frustrated, I cry. Or it's hard for me to open up about something, but I'm going to be honest with you. It's like kind of touching my soul a little too much. So I get a little nervous. Sometimes I cry, especially because of all that tension, all the crap we've gone through for all those years. Like talking to you guys right now, I probably wouldn't cry. Talking to him, I would probably cry about the same subject, if something personal, just because with them, you never know how they're going to react. You never know if they're going to, like, I'll be honest, this was kind of crazy. I was raped. Okay. And I had told my ex, and he was like, well, that's not rape. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like I said, no. The guy was on top of me. He wouldn't get off me. I kept saying no. And then I went limp. He was like 200 pounds heavier than me. But for my ex, who's a state cop, to say that wasn't rape, I'm like, I said no. Like he like overpowered me and my body just went limp. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't fight him off. And like I'm also a burn victim. When I caught on fire, I blacked out. I was 5 years old. The barbecue exploded. Like 55% of my body was burnt. But I blacked out. That's how my body handles things, is when it gets to be too much. I'll either go limp or I'll block that part out. Um, it's like a defense mechanism, just like narcissism is a defense mechanism, to where they have to build up this wall, this facade. Um, and they just, throughout the entire relationship, keep that wall up. They don't break it down enough to communicate, to love. Um, Loving is very uncomfortable for them. So as we progress through this relationship, we're expecting the love that the love bombing pretended to show us. It was just a lot of fun and excitement and adrenaline and conversation and spending time together. But you know, in the beginning, the first week, do you really love each other? You're getting to know each other. And so all that time they're getting to, you know, they're getting to know each other just to have some tools in their toolbox, things to kind of throw at you, things to cut you down with or to manipulate you with, things to kind of even use with the gaslighting to turn it around onto you. Like, I don't know, well, your sister this, or they're building their toolbox. They're critiquing, perfecting the way that they manipulate us. Certain ways will be better. Sometimes the silent treatment or the gaslighting, there's all different techniques that they can use. So they're trying to see which ones are more effective, which ones get their way the most. And at the end of that relationship, when we've had enough, they realize that they just pushed it too far, that they're going to lose whatever's important to them. If you were important, granted, they're asking you to stay, but if you were important, why weren't you important yesterday? Why weren't you important, 2 months ago when you said the same thing? Like, I can't take it anymore. You said that 2 months ago. And they're so used to us waiting and working things out and, getting frustrated to the point somebody should leave, um, or actually work it out. But they're used to us not leaving. They're so self-centered that they think they'll never lose us. They know the trauma bond that they caused. They know that they can take us for granted, and then we'll come to that one blow up. Sometimes too, they'll want to get rid of us. They will make our lives horrible, so we leave because they don't want to take accountability. But then they're like, oh, people are looking down on me, and she was such a good woman, and, or you're going to lose your house, or think about the kids. And they might say, oh, the kids, you're right. But they're thinking, now I got to pay child support. Like, I'm not leaving. Some of them, like, they just need to control the situation. So they lose control. Um, they don't think about, am I saving who I want to be with? They're saving something to do. They're saving what everybody will see as far as their reputation. They don't want to take the accountability, so they will go to great lengths to beg and plead, because they see us as objects. But I was that Barbie doll. I wasn't a plant. I wasn't watered. I wasn't taken care of. And how often do you have to water a plant? Not that much, but it does need some care. And, each one of us are beautiful flowers. Different ones need different amounts of water, different amounts of sunlight. But we do need something. We can't just give and give and give. And they're creating this world where it's 50-50-ish in the beginning, but then they keep taking and taking and taking from us to where we have nothing left to give. And then they'll give us the little breadcrumbs that they talk about, little breadcrumbs. Like, if you're starving to death for emotional support, you're basically about to die from starvation, they'll throw you a little breadcrumb, and that'll get you by for a little bit. And then you need to talk to them again because you're like, I'm so starving for this. So they throw you another breadcrumb, but you have to ask every time. It's not like they're bringing you a meal and then you have to ask, like, I'm emotionally hungry right now. And then if you do ask, they get offended. They get mad, or they won't give it to you. It's like, oh, now you asked. I'm not giving it to you. You asked. And they can be very, very hurtful. They need to be in control. And sometimes just when we decide that we want to leave, that's when they feel they lost control. It's the control they want. And then the little benefits. But it's not the love. And if they leave, they might leave so they can go do their own thing. They don't have to care about things, a little escape from reality. And then they realize, you know, I, I, I gave up something good, just like I gave up a Lamborghini so I could ride my bike to work. Like that was dumb. So they're like, you know, I want that object back. So they'll, you know, either hoover and try again with love bombing because it worked in the beginning. And it's just something interesting is be real careful what you decide to do if you decide to stick it out. Because it's always going to be the gaslighting. It's just so ingrained in their thought patterns. Just like when we say, please, thank you, excuse me, it's like second nature. We don't even think about it. Just like when you close the bathroom door at your house. I live alone. So I close my bathroom door. Why do I do that? It's not a habit. It's just second nature. And it's the same with them. It's like something they grew up with, something they did over and over again. That for me to like mentally even think, don't leave the door open. You don't, I mean, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but usually it's just a habit. You know, when I take a shower, I close the door. When I do this or that, there's certain things that we do out of habit. And that's the way they talk, is out of habit. That's the way the rages or the fights or the silent treatment, whatever their tactic is habitual to them, to where it's internally ingrained in them. So that's not going to change. So if they come back or fight for the relationship when it's about to break up, it's the loss of control. The loss, like a fear of having to show who they are to the world. Why did you guys break up? What happened? If they do talk about it, they will go through that smear campaign. They will not say, because I was a jerk, because I cheated. They'll call us crazy. That, you know, oh, my ex, she's crazy. So be cautious if you start dating somebody and they say their ex was crazy. Most good relationships that ended, let's say you got a job in another state, the person wasn't ready to move, they usually don't say it's because they were crazy. Take that to heart right there. So if your newfound friend that you'd like to proceed with says that their ex, or especially if it's 2 or 3 exes were crazy, and that's like a long-term relationship. You might have a date or 2 and you're like, that person was crazy. You can tell off the bat, you know, or if it's a month, okay, they dated somebody for a month. But if they're like, my ex-wife or my ex-husband was crazy, be cautious on that. Be cautious on that, because they probably made them crazy. How did they go crazy? Because of all the gaslighting, because of the taking away their reality, who they are. Were they crazy? No, just like you weren't crazy when you met them, but they put you through a crazy situation. Just like if you spin around and around and around and around, you're going to get dizzy and you're going to walk like that. And is that who you are? You know how to walk. Are you able to focus? You can focus, but not when you're spun around like that. And that's what they do with their tricks of the trade, is they spin us till we can't stop and we're disoriented and can't think straight. So we react in that wobbly fashion, which is them calling us crazy, you know. And please like and subscribe. Tell me your comments. If you'd like any special topics, let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.